Hey, Mikey.
It's Michael Brown.
You can try to find Michael Brown.
Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job.
This is the Michael Brown Show.
Hold on tight to your dream. Yeah. Hold on tight to your dream.
Hey, welcome back to the program, everybody. Happy Friday, and yes, we're doing Let's Eat, and I know it's 5 o'clock, but as I explained in the earlier hour, we are being preempted tonight by a Rockies baseball game, so everything got shifted an hour earlier, and of course that upset Lori Lynn tremendously because it screws up her schedule, but call somebody that cares because I don't.
Should we tell people what I'm looking up? Touching the pig's nose.
Touching the pig's nose.
And you should actually, our guests should read about this. It says how are we
Il
saying?
porcellino salumi.
The il porcellino, as the Italians call him, means little pig. However, the bronze porker sitting at the side of the new market is really the wild boar. You're supposed to be touching the nose for good luck, or you put coins in its mouth.
Oh,
So
Bill,
when I
is
walked
there a
into
place
the
to-
shop, there
there-
was a pig. It was a
There is-
brass
is there a
pig,
place
and I
to put
touched the
coins?
nose.
You could.
You could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you
I
should put a
touched
little bucket
those.
down there or something.
There's
so-
also a wooden pig that like acts as our tip jar.
Oh, okay. All right.
That my father carved.
Oh, seriously?
Hand carved out of wood. Yep.
So that voice you're hearing is Bill Miner, who is the owner, proprietor, founder, dishwasher,
Yes.
janitor
Everything under
Everything.
the sun. Yes.
of Il Porcellino Salumi. Now, I'm going to spell that because I want people to get to the website. It is spelled ILPORCLLINO Salumi. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Denver.com. So ILPORCELLINO Denver.com. So get over there right now.
I have been there.
Can you smell?
I can smell it.
I
It's
can
awesome.
smell it too. He took the lid off the
I
cured
know.
meats.
And I had some of his cured meats in my meal presentations this week. So
All right, Bill. Here comes the cross-examination.
All right, Michael.
All right, here we go. So, where are you from?
I grew up in Columbus, Ohio.
All right, how'd you end up in Denver?
I moved to Denver 24 years ago, pretty much to the day.
Yeah.
When I was 20 years old, and just wanted to move out to the mountains. I was tired of living in Ohio, and moved to Breckenridge, and found myself working in a restaurant up there, and kind of learned how to cook.
All right.
At that point in my life, not seriously, obviously, but just kind of being a ski bum, a snowboard bum.
Sure.
And,
I mean, it's the Colorado story,
I was
right?
20 years old,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
and eventually moved down to Boulder and got a little more serious about cooking in Boulder, and eventually went to the Art Institute Culinary School in Denver, and found a real passion for cooking, and kind of ended up in the catering world for many, many years.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So used to run a
Catering parties, catering dinners, all of the above? Or
I used to run a catering company based out of Lakewood called Relish Catering, and was the executive chef there for 10 years.
Okay.
Always had a passion for cured meats. Love prosciutto, love
Yeah.
copa, things of that nature, and wanted to figure out how to make these delicious items, and kind of taught myself how to do it.
So, were you teaching yourself how to do it while you were doing the catering business?
Yes, sir.
And at some point,
Friends, family said,
you knew exactly
"Hey,
what the question was.
what you're making is delicious. You should probably figure out a way to sell it." So wrote a business plan and found money for the business, and we opened our store, Il Porcellino Salumi, at the corner of 41st and Tennyson in October of 2015. So it's been about 3 years now.
3 years. Well,
Wow.
I mean, that you're halfway to the 7-year, almost halfway to the 7-year mark.
Sure.
Which is, but even making it 3 years
Yeah, we're just
is
cruising
incredibly
along.
successful.
Business is good. We recently opened our wholesale side of the business this past spring. We have a wholesale facility up in Basalt near Aspen, and it's where we work under USDA inspection and make
Okay.
our salami there that we're allowed to distribute nationally now.
So, like, who are some of the? Maybe you don't want to tell me, but instead tell me descriptively, generically. Who are some of the wholesale customers? I mean,
You can
restaurants?
currently find our products. It's already only been on the market for 10 weeks. So it was
Oh, wow.
released at the beginning of June.
Okay.
And find it in various restaurants, cheese shops, specialty markets around Colorado, obviously.
Right.
And we're also in 7 states already. So it's spreading rapidly. The business is going very well. We've got plans for more growth, obviously, and just kind of looking forward to seeing where this journey takes us.
So I'm really fascinated on the business side, before we get to that incredibly good smelling meat over there. I'm really fascinated on the business side. So you get family and friends and everybody's telling you like, wow, this is really good. You need to figure out a way to sell it and make some money on it. And your comment was, I put together a business plan and I found some money.
Well, I'd always wanted to go into business.
Sure.
And was kind of looking for something besides what I was doing. I was tired of the job that I had. I worked 70 hours a week. I wasn't getting to see a lot of my family, my wife, everything. So hence, the genius thing to do is open your business, because then you work even more.
You're working 80 hours,
right?
and not 90 hours, right? Exactly.
First 2 years, definitely worked 70 hours a week, 6
Yeah.
days a week. It's slowed down a little bit now.
But did you go to family and friends? Did you go to like a couple of wealthy guys? I mean, I'm not asking specifics. I'm just
it's
curious. Family and friends.
Yeah.
Put the money in.
Yep, for sure.
Wow.
And more recently brought in a new business partner who's an old friend of mine from culinary school, Nathan Taylor, and he's helping us take things to a new, different level at this point.
And what is, if you give me the elevator pitch? If you were pitching me to help the business expand, what is that next level? What does that mean?
So our production facility up in Basalt, where we currently make salami, is only 1,500 square feet, and we like to have something probably 10 times that size in Denver, so we can really be all over the country.
Yeah. Why Basalt as opposed?
So
to
it was an old approved USDA facility.
Oh,
It used
okay.
to be called Avalanche Meats and Cheeses.
All right.
And Wendy Mitchell, who's the owner of that, and she also owns a restaurant in Aspen called Meat and Cheese. She approached me last fall to see if I'd be interested in taking over her facility, because she had, for some reason, decided to stop making her
Sure.
salami and cheese that she
Right.
was doing in the facility.
Yeah.
So we figured out a way to make that happen, and officially moved in at the beginning of March, and got our seal of approval with the USDA in April, and started making our products then.
How
So
hard was it to get the USDA?
It's
USDA.
challenging, but we hired a lady in a company that she knows the
How to maneuver the
USDA backwards and
bureaucracy,
forwards,
yeah.
and just took 5 or 6 weeks of taking their plans that they had set up with the USDA and tweaking them to more like of what we do.
Right.
We cure everything all naturally, and that was the biggest thing.
All right.
So
Time out. What does that mean?
So-
All naturally.
there's 2 different ways to make cured meats. I don't know if you walk into Whole Foods and you'll see labels that say no nitrates added, except those naturally occurring in celery powder. That's the way we do our curing. Or you can use pure sodium nitrate, which is an unnatural way.
Now,
to
did
do
you
it.
say celery powder?
Celery powder? Yep, it's so essentially a dehydrated celery. There's different forms of natural ways to do it. There's also beet powders, cherry powders, other things that contain, obviously a natural form of sodium nitrate. So
Now, as much as I love cured meats,
And
I'm-
who doesn't?
I know who doesn't, right? You got to be a communist, right? So, as much as I love cured meats, if you ask me to describe the facility in which you cure a piece of meat, salami or whatever it might be, I wouldn't have a clue.
So the room where the meat's dry is essentially like a walk-in cooler, but it's a warmer environment. So the meat's dry at a temperature of about 58 to 60 degrees,
Oh, okay.
which is not the optimum temperature to store meat. Obviously, you want to store it under refrigeration, below
Right.
40 degrees or frozen. So that's part of the plan, that setting up what we do with the USDA. Another part of it is our fermentation process. And in order to make salami, which is a ground and fermented and dried product, we ferment the meat. So we add cultures and bacteria, good bacteria, to the meat, raise the temperature of the sausage, and it's in a warm, humid environment for about 45, 46 hours. And the bacteria feeds on sugars that are in the recipe, and it drops the pH of the meat to a safe level that would potentially kill any bad bacteria that might have been present in the pork that we use. We do source all of our animals locally using the best heritage breed pigs available on the market today. So
That is a fascinating story.
I know. Now I want to go make meat.
That'll be the next thing out
it's
here.
essentially
is
like
you out making
it's
meat.
like making sausage, but
better.
on a different level.
Hang on,
Yes.
we'll be right back. We're talking to Bill Miner from Il Porcellino Salumi. Hey, welcome back. Happy Friday, everybody. I know we're doing Let's Eat early because we're preempted tonight for a Rockies baseball game over here on
Rockies
K-How.
are hot.
So they are. But, I've been a Rockies fan since 1993, so I've learned not to get too excited.
I know, but it's still fun to watch.
It is fun
and
to
they called
watch.
Holiday back up.
Bill Miner's in the studio with us. Bill has a place up on 41st and Tennyson is that still technically the Highlands?
It's called Berkeley, isn't it?
Berkeley.
Yeah.
So Berkeley, okay. So you're north of the Highlands, I
And
guess.
Caddy Corner is High Point.
There's too much of this. We're trying to be
There's
too much
so
like
many-
New York City. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, just
Slow high.
I know.
So
No
broke.
Just give me an address, okay? Give me an address.
And they're
41st and Tennyson.
And they're conveniently located Caddy Corner from High Point Creamery. That has some of the best ice cream ever.
I don't know. I just don't really think of cured meats and ice cream together.
Oh, shit. Well, no, you eat the cured meats, then you eat something sweet, and you walk across the street. Because at your facility, you also have like a deli, so people can sit down and have a meal with your cured meats.
Yeah, we call ourselves a deli, but we're kind of a hybrid of a delicatessen butcher shop and salumeria all in one. So we have
What's a salumer?
a salumeria, a place that makes salami.
Okay,
So,
all right.
We make amazing sandwiches. We have incredible meats that we make there, so we're able to make these incredible sandwiches, and they're very artisanal. Probably on the higher end side on the price tag, but I feel like they're very well worth it.
I'm coming up.
Yeah.
I'm coming up.
We've got one sandwich. We call it the bacon sandwich. It's got our house cured applewood smoked bacon on it. It's kind of like a BLT, but on steroids. It's got a cheese fondue sauce on it, some apple butter, jalapeno aioli, so it's sweet and spicy and smoky. A little arugula on there too, tomato. It's delicious.
Okay, let's talk about the sandwiches for a second. Now that leads me down a whole nother path. So that sandwich, that BLT you just described,
Yeah.
which is like an orgasmic BLT, did you come up with that or did somebody else come up with
no, definitely came up with it. It's been on the menu
that? So that's
since
your
day one.
creative side.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a chef,
Right,
so
right.
we have fun with what we
So
do.
how could you just, come to think of it, it makes total sense now that you would sell sandwiches, because how can you be a chef for all those years, go into cured meats and not want to make a sandwich?
Yeah, we have
A
another
sandwich out of the cured meats.
We call it the hoggy, and it's piled high with our Italian-style cured meats. So, like Genoa salami, it's got a house-cured ham on there, just delicious meats, and arugula, tomato, aioli, just atypical
Yeah.
Italian-style grinder.
So if people are listening to us tonight and they're thinking, okay, so I've heard salami, I've heard sausage, I see some, what is that, pepperoni in the center or something?
There's some pepperoni, there's some soppressata, there's some Wagyu beef bresaola, there's some
Wagyu.
copa,
Okay.
there's a black truffle salami.
So people hear this. So people hear
They can
this
go
tonight.
have a sandwich and take some home.
Yeah. So people. But
That's the
here's what-
goal. People come in for a sandwich and they take home, maybe they want to take home some bacon
Right.
that they had on their sandwich.
But
'cause
I'm
they love
thinking
our
the
bacon.
opposite. So people tonight are going to hear the description of the meats. Now,
Sure.
I do think they'll come in for the sandwiches.
Sure.
But they're going to hear the description of the meats and they're going to think, okay, I want to go buy some of the meats, but I don't know what to do with them.
So
You
you're
eat
having a
them.
party. You set out a little charcuterie board with some meat and cheese and some pickled vegetables.
Yeah.
We are literally the only place in Denver that makes its own cured meats that you can come in and buy them and take them home. There's several restaurants that make them, but they serve them in the restaurant.
In the
You can't-
restaurant,
you
right.
can't buy them and take them home.
Yeah.
So that's what makes us different.
Okay, so why don't you guys talk, and I'm going to drive before I leave town and go up and.
Well, one of the questions that we had off air, I had visited your shop Sunday, and I brought home some pancetta.
Which, by the way, she had a good experience too.
Yes.
I had a
Yes.
great experience. I'm sorry.
That's great to hear.
I touched your pig, remember? We talked about me touching the pig as I walked in. So I got the pancetta home, and then I was like, do I cook pancetta? Can I eat it out, just slice it and eat it? So answer that question, because I literally had to
Either
Google
or.
it.
I mean, it is safe to eat as is. Pancetta is a dry cured pork belly.
Yeah.
So pork belly is what you would make bacon out of, or pancetta. So it's been cured in the walk-in cooler. We cure it for about 10, 12 days, which is a salt and seasoning mixture on the pork belly. Rinse it, then we crust one side of it in peppercorn, hang it up in our dry room for about 45 days. Let it dry. It loses a little bit of weight, intensifies the flavors. It's safe to eat, either sliced or obviously you can cook it in your pasta sauce like you did over the weekend.
Well, I didn't do it in pasta sauce. I deep fat fried that stuff. It was awesome.
Bill's like,
I was just
you
sitting.
ruined,
No,
you
I didn't
ruined my
ruin it.
pancetta. You
I only
deep-fried
dipped it in. I didn't get it crunchy. I just dipped it in to cook it to a look that I like, and then I put it on eggplant parmesan.
Okay.
It was
Now,
awesome.
I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it just instead because I'm not sure. How do you determine a cured meat that is safe to eat, as you just described, versus the smoked bacon, which obviously is not safe to eat
because it
without
needs to
cooking?
be cooked, obviously.
Right.
So cured meats, we have to go through the process of testing the water activity in the meat to make sure that it's dry enough.
Oh.
And at a certain point, then it's safe to eat. So it's a plan that we have set up in Denver with the Denver County Board of Environmental Health, or in Basalt at our facility with the USDA. So it's a very scientific and technical way of making sure that the meat is safe to eat. Because believe it or not, in a way, salami, any cured meat, is raw. It's never been cooked in any manner.
Right.
It's been
But
salted,
it's all the
seasoned.
internal chemical process.
Yeah, there's no chemicals.
Well, I'm okay. It's the
Scientific process.
yeah. Thank
of
you.
it,
All right,
yes.
scientific process. Right.
But
The biological process.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know.
But so something like a pepperoni or a soppressata is essentially a ground sausage that we ferment and then we dry, and these larger ones, they take 3.5 months to dry. The smaller ones take about 6 weeks to dry. But we know we can squeeze them and feel them that they're firm, and then we test them. And as long as they've reached the water activity that is safe, then we're allowed to sell them.
IlPorcellinoDenver.com. I just want to make sure people.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
That's
and
where
41st
it's at.
and
Tennyson
Tennyson.
in the Berkeley.
I'll meet you there
All the time.
in an hour and a half.
All the time. Well, you know how cheese is got a mold on the outside, and some of your salamis do. Is that okay to eat, or do you suggest you take it off?
So
Because cheese, they're always like, "Oh no, this mold's fine." You're like, "No,
it is
really.
fine. It's a penicillin-based mold that we apply to the outside of the casings, and it actually protects the meat against bad bacteria getting into the meat as it dries. Another safety step. We do recommend that you peel that casing off before you eat the salami. So, but technically you could eat it. We use all natural casings, so if you wanted to, you could, but probably not.
So you said you locally source the pigs and stuff that you use. Does that primarily come from Boulder County? Does it come from across the state?
Front Range primarily.
Yeah.
So we work with a farm outside of Monument called Corner Post. We work with a guy named Gerald Graybill. He's up in Keensburg, which is up I-76. There's a number of them along the Front Range that are raising pigs on pasture and feeding them the right diet and giving them a great life.
All right.
So
So let's cut the crap out now. Take a short break and let's
And
see
pig
what you-
out. We're
and
gonna
pig
pig
out.
out.
That's right, pig out. Hang on, we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the Let's Eat segment of the Michael Brown Show. Happy Friday. I know it's not quite 6 o'clock yet, but we have a Rockies game coming up. And
But it
that's
gives them
why we're
time
doing
to
this.
get down there, get their meat on, and get home
Get
and
the
watch
meat
the
on,
game.
that's right. 41st and Tennyson. Il Porcellino Salumi. But the website is ilporcellinodenver.com.
I need to try these
Bill
sandwiches.
Miner. Go in and ask for Bill Miner and tell him that Mike and Lori sent you. And Applewood smoked bacon, $13 a pound. That seems pretty good to me.
Your mouth is
Berkeley
watering.
ham. I'm just sitting here looking at all this stuff. Like Tamara loves like the ham hocks when we do like pintos and
Right.
tortillas for put a ham hock in there. What else you got here?
everything under the sun, Michael.
You do.
Except for
And
the bison,
you got
the bison we
andouille,
talked off.
Pepperoni, Genoa cotta, summer sausage, bison pastrami. What's a mortadella? I'm not familiar with that one.
Mortadella is like a really fancy bologna.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's typically made. It's got some pistachios in it, but it's called an emulsified sausage. So again, a different process where
Right.
we emulsify the meat, add some pistachios and pork fat to it, case it, and then we cook it under a sous vide technique, which is like a hot water bath.
It's evil.
and
I actually use a sous vide every once in a while.
It's a delicious
I just
deli
used
meat.
it in a process. I talk about this a lot. I'm making my own chocolate, and I had to use it in a process like last week for something, so I'm very familiar with it. I've never used it to cook, though, like an entire meal.
Yeah, we do it all the time. So
Well, I just noticed your hours, too, are Tuesday through Sunday.
yes, sir.
Good move.
Yeah,
Yeah, good move.
close 1 day a week.
Right.
So gives us a little breather. We still
Yeah.
do production on those days. So
Yeah,
it's kind
but
of a
I think
7 day a week operation.
Yeah, the Sunday thing is a good idea, though, I think.
Yeah, we love being open on Sundays. It's a great day for us. As we head into football season here shortly, we're going to be offering some different tailgate packages. People can come in and pick up a package of house-made hot dogs, bratwurst, bacon burgers. They can take it down to the stadium, grill it out before the
House-made
game.
brats.
Or house-made hot
House-made
dogs, even.
brats.
House-made brats. Yeah, we do our jalapeno bratwurst. We do our own hot dogs. Like I said, we do it all.
No, this is only seasonal that you do the hot dogs and the brats.
No, we do. We make tons of different types of sauces.
Oh.
So we always
Bill's looking
have
at you like,
always
"Don't you
have
get it?
fresh
I
sausage.
do everything. We cure
I know he's everything.
meats. We do
If
meats.
it's meat, we cure it.
I mean, we're a butcher shop too. We've got amazing, locally raised beef that we work with, and fresh ribeyes, things of that nature. We'll do incredible pork chops, so you can really get it all. We're your one-stop shop for meat.
Now, how long did it take you to perfect the curing process? It's not like you just one day is like, what, I think I'm gonna
definitely
make
worked on the
salami.
recipes for a few years before the doors of the deli were opened.
And you're probably very-
there were some errors, obviously, and we still, we use it kind of as R&D, do some testing of different products, and there's been a few mistakes along the way, but most of everything comes out pretty darn delicious. So.
Well, let's find. Let's just test that hypothesis.
Okay.
Whether or not everything really comes out
And
delicious or not.
while you're doing that, we had a question off
Because
the air.
it's almost within arm's reach.
Since
I'm going to pull it away.
we now have a meat expert in. What's the difference between pastrami and corned beef?
So similar cut of beef, similar process where the meat gets brined.
Yep.
So it's a salty, seasoned water bath that it sits in for 12 days or so. You actually inject that brine into the meat to make sure it penetrates all the way through. Corned beef then would get pulled out of that, rinsed and braised until it was tender. So cooked in the oven in some type of broth for 5 or 6 hours till it's tender. Pastrami gets coated in peppercorns and coriander and then smoked.
Oh,
You know,
okay. Thank you. Now I
As you're
know.
describing that, and then I'm thinking about what I'm looking at. All of these,
want that too.
all these cured meats and the pastramis and the corned beef, they all have great histories
Sure.
about how they came about. Because we live in this modern age where we've got refrigerators and freezers and 1-day shipping and everything else.
But these techniques have been around for,
For
thousands
centuries,
of years.
thousands of years,
If you-
exactly.
Dating back to in Europe. And,
Right.
I think the art of American charcuterie is realizing a serious renaissance right now, and the business of it
The
is
American art of what?
Charcuterie.
charcuterie.
Charcuterie. Okay.
So
Charcuterie?
it's
Yeah,
it's
the
definitely a
meat and
booming
cheese
industry
and
around
all
the
that.
country right now. It's kind of like cheesemaking was 20 years ago, where there's
Mm-hmm.
all these artisan cheesemakers coming
Yeah.
out, and right now there's all these artisan salumi makers and
Yeah.
charcuterie companies coming out, and
Right.
We kind of feel like we're at the forefront of it.
Well, and the other thing too with these cured meats, the reason that it came about as far as the historical aspect is because it was the cheap or the unsatisfying piece of meat that they were trying to make edible.
Well, it was like, a family had a couple hogs that they raised and they wanted to preserve the legs, and that's how
Yeah.
prosciutto came about, It's a way for them to preserve the meat and have it to eat at a later date. So
Let's
So-
we keep putting off the inevitable. Which is, I assume you didn't bring that in just for the aroma.
just the aroma.
Oh,
It's
is that
the-
it?
Yep,
Okay.
and
Well, you've
free-
succeeded
Smells
in that part.
smells are free.
Yeah, smells are free. So you've succeeded quite well in that part. Give us a little sampling of what you brought in.
So
This
I've
is why
touched,
we ask him.
touched
Let's be honest. This is why we ask him in, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I've touched on the salami process. There's also things that are whole muscle products like a beef bresaola or a copa, or I brought some country ham, which is like a smoked prosciutto. So different technique here where the meat It's a whole muscle of meat, and we'll salt it and season it and let it sit in the walk-in for a certain amount of days until it's ready. We'll pull it out, rinse it, and hang it up and let it dry in our dry room. So these things are usually a longer dry time. Really allows the flavor of the meat to develop. And country ham is traditionally, it is a little saltier than most anything that we make. It's a salty and smoked kind of southern style prosciutto.
So if I was a new customer walking in and I said, I don't have a clue what any of these are,
We usually lead people
lead
towards,
me through this.
towards copa, which is some people know as capricola, depending on where you are in Italy.
Yeah.
It's a dry cured shoulder muscle. It's the shoulder and neck muscle of the pig, and it's got some amazing intramuscular fat. Melts in your mouth when you eat it. We definitely send people towards that. So that's going to be here on your right. So the curing process with that, we do kind of a sweet cure on it, and then do a spice rub on it as well before we stuff it into its casing and let it dry for about 3 months.
Thank you.
And these-
Sorry, I should have brought you some tongs or something.
Yeah, we've
Oh,
actually, I
we
think
have
we've got-
some. We
we've
just
got
haven't.
some
We
forks,
didn't
but
bring it
we're
in.
We're just,
We're
you know,
friends.
We're friends.
And that's going to be your country ham. So that comes from the leg muscle as well, and salty and smoky, but melts in your mouth. It's
And
got a
delicious.
decent amount of
And
fat
yummy.
content on it. These heritage breed pigs that we use that are raised here in Colorado have an amazing fat content, and for us, we want that fat. We use it. Sometimes the back fat will separate it and use it in the ground salami. The whole muscle products, obviously, the fat is intact, but it has amazing flavor and it melts in your mouth.
What would you do with that?
The country ham,
Yeah,
Eat it.
eat it.
eat it.
I mean,
right.
in the South, they'll cook with it a lot. There's a lot of dishes that involve like biscuits and country ham and maybe something sweet on there.
Oh yeah.
They might end up cooking it into a gravy or something of the sort.
Or even putting it into a vegetable, like
Yeah.
an okra or
sure.
even a squash of some sort. Or
It just seems like such a waste because by itself it has such a great flavor.
well, then you can just eat it by itself.
I know. I think that's what I would do. Just just give me some really kind of basic crackers. They don't have a lot of flavor to it, so I've just got a little texture of the cracker and put that on it. I'm a happy camper.
Yeah.
All right, what are
We
you gonna,
have more.
What are you going to feed us next, Bill? Hang
Well-
on. It's IlPorcellinoDenver.com. Bill Miner, 41st and Tennyson. Be right back.
On the road for 40 days. Last night in Little Rock put me in a haze. Sweet, sweet Connie doing her act. She had the whole show, and that's a natural fact. Up all night with Freddie King.
Hey, welcome back to Let's Eat. Bill Miner of IlPorcellinoDenver.com. And the name of the store is Il Porcellino Salumi. It's at 41st and Tennyson. Cured meats, delicatessen, but
Delicatessen, sandwiches, butcher shop.
Yeah, butcher shop.
And
Fresh
you're the
butcher
only
cuts.
place right now that is selling cured meats out of a storefront
In Denver. Yep.
in Denver. Remember that. Remember that often.
One of 2 places in the entire state. The other is in Boulder called Black Belly, and they do an amazing job as well.
Wow.
All right, what do you
That's
want?
interesting. Very
do
interesting.
you
So I
want me
think
to
Lori
try
Lynn had the copa and you had the country ham. You guys should both try this Wagyu beef persola. So
Oh, yes.
obviously it's not, we don't
Yes.
do everything that's pork. We do some beef as well. We do some fun stuff with lamb as well. But this beef, we source right now. We're actually getting a Japanese cattle out of Wyoming, and it's a different breed than Wagyu. I can't remember the name of it right now. It starts with an A, but it's the marbling and intermuscular fat again is great. And beef would probably lend itself to being drier, but that's not dry. It melts in your mouth. And you're
It
gonna
has
taste
a sweet.
you're gonna taste flavors of juniper berries,
Yeah.
peppercorns, fennel seed. There's no sugar at all in the process, so it just gets its sweetness from the seasonings that
But
we
it
use.
is, to use it sweet?
Yeah, there's
Not
some.
in a bad way.
No, but there's some kind of undertaste or something.
It's
It's very
predominantly
good,
the
though.
juniper berry and
Yeah,
fennel
that's what
seed.
it probably is.
Yep.
Okay, that's great.
Moving on to your left there, you've got some pepperoni. No, the big
Oh,
one in the middle. Yeah, you should
Now
definitely.
you have 2 kinds of pepperoni, correct?
So this is a dried pepperoni, and we also have a smoked pepperoni.
and I
as
got
well.
the smoked when I
think
was
you got
there.
the smoked.
And I think that might have went into the eggplant this week, but I'm not sure.
This is the dried pepperoni. I'm
This is
thinking
the
of,
dried
yeah, right.
pepperoni. So this is a product we actually just released for distribution from our wholesale facility this week, and takes about 3.5 months to dry. It's pepperoni on steroids.
It is on steroids.
And because you're doing it a natural curing, it's probably a little bit better than with the ones that are using all the nitrates and the
Exactly.
chemicals and stuff.
Yep.
Okay. That's
Now, you
interesting.
make a pizza with this. I'll eat a pepperoni pizza.
Yep, you'll start to see it
Holy
at some
cow.
restaurants around town here
Yeah.
soon. So,
Yeah. Now, that would be with, I don't even know, no tomato sauce, just a really good dough,
some really good
oil,
cheese,
a really good cheese, and this.
Parmesan, and that,
Oh,
or fresh mozzarella.
Definitely fresh
Bill, these
mozzarella.
are, I mean, I was a fanboy last week when we had moonshine. I'm a fanboy again this week with cured
I won't
meats.
tell you what I did with the moonshine. I actually added it to my chocolate. It was awesome, by the way.
Now, this was the,
That was the pepperoni. The other big one next to it is sopressata.
Okay.
So it's going to be ground dried salami made with red wine, chili flake, salt and pepper, garlic.
well, I just saw the chili flakes.
Again,
This
this
is
would
one
be
of
great
my
on a
favorite-
sandwich. You could probably put it on a pizza. as well.
Salami is one of my favorite meats, or
So-
cured meats, I should say.
Traditional Italian style salami right
Mm.
there. Little sweetness from we use a Carboy Winery Malbec wine in there. It's our local winery
Yeah.
down in Littleton.
Right.
So I think they make some
Now,
pretty
do
good
you
products.
sell cheese also?
We sell cheese at our store,
good.
local Colorado cheeses.
Yeah, because I know. Oh, yeah, you had Muco there.
Yeah, we had Muku and
You
some
had Muku.
Haystack and Fruition Farms. Some of the really
Very
good
nice.
local
Cleans the
guys.
palate with a little Diet Coke.
No, never. You just ruined your palate.
And then there's two smaller salamis on there. The one on your right, I believe, is a black truffle. On your right.
Oh, on my right.
Yep, on your right, I believe, is a black truffle. And on your left is one that we call queso salami, and it's actually made with Haystack Mountains queso de mano cheese in it.
Oh my gosh.
And it's a bite of meat and cheese all at once.
Okay. This is something you have to leave. IlPorcellinoDenver.com. Get to 41st and Tennyson. Check out Bill Miner's fantastic cured meats. Sing it, Kate.
With the light from above, from the mountain to the